So this video is directed to you green parents. We're going to give you some watch outs in dealing with each of the 4 different temperaments. We're going to give you some tips at the end to help you to understand how to build and strengthen those relationships with each of those. So in the end, we're building relationships with what we would refer to as these difficult teenagers, when in reality, we're just not communicating effectively with them. So today we're going to talk about the green parent in dealing with these 4 temperaments. You suck. But you don't really suck, you just don't really understand what's going on, because there's part of your green temperament that just says that they should just be great kids and they should know how to be great kids. And so what we're going to talk about today is that how can you interact with them so that you can be more involved in their lives so that they can become greater than who they currently are. And we're going to cover each of the 4 unique temperaments that could make up of any of the children you might have. Let's talk about the green parent. Let's do the easiest one. Green parent, green child. What do you watch out for in that world? Pretty much nothing. Because they both value each other, they both accept each other, and the reality is that the green parent lets the green child just go and do its green thing, right? Do their green thing. If I'm a green child, having a green parent is right up my alley. I love that, because we probably don't talk much. We probably don't do much together. And that's okay, because we don't need to. So that's one of the things to watch out for, though. Because one of the things that we have learned over all of our research is that nobody's any one of these temperaments. And so don't make the mistake as a green parent in particular to think that, well, I have a green child, thus I can just leave them alone because they're a green blue or a green gold. They're not just a green, and you're not just a green. So make sure that we're clear about that. That as we're trying to look at these different temperament mixes, that it's not just as clean and clear as green and green or green and blue, but yet that we got to have a starting point. So this is the best starting point. So green with a green child, they get along really well. That's the easiest. Now let's talk about the most difficult combination, the green parent with the blue child. Why is that so difficult? Well, as a green parent, with all the best intentions of the world, you want your children to succeed. You do. And I know that you do, and it's in your intent. But how you go about doing that damages children all day long. Now let me tell you how that happens. Your desire to excel and to be highly competent, which is what has helped you to be successful, you want that in each of your children. So now let's take your blue child who goes off to school. They do as best a job as they can. They come home with their report card, so excited to show you this report card that says, you know, Dad, Mom, I got 4 A's and a B. I'm so excited about how things went at school this semester. And then you say to them, well, let's look at that B and see what we can do to make that B an A next semester. Now your intent is to help them to improve, but what you've just done is you've just minimized who they were and the success that they had. And by putting pressure, because all blue children want to do is please their parents. And if your level of expertise is perfection, which it is, and I'm now being parented by you, then I can never be good enough. And that's one of the things that we found throughout this whole process of understanding children and understanding parents. Probably the most difficult of all the combinations is this blue-green combination between parents and children. And it's not intentional, but yet it just destroys by never being, I can never be good enough. I've had adults that have come up to me after we had this conversation and have said, you know, that's exactly what happened my whole life. No matter what I did, I could never be good enough. It wasn't that the green parent was trying to be a bad parent. They were trying to be the best that they knew how to be, but they were coming from their perspective. So watch out for that. If you're a green parent and have blue children, you're going to have to do some things. We'll give you a couple tips on what to do here in just a minute. Now, how about the green parent and the orange? There's a lot of similarities between the green and the orange. They both are independent, they're both nonconformists, they both like to kind of just go out and do their own thing. But the green parent could also look at an orange child as being irresponsible, being flighty, not being competent in anything, and that could come across in how we communicate, how we converse with, and how we parent, right? By just giving them the opportunity to have the freedom that they need. The green parent's inability to accept the orange child as being competent is really tough. And so that's going to be a struggle for you. But you can do it but there's specific things you're going to have to do to really work on that aspect, because it is not in your nature as a green parent to value the orange and what the orange brings to the world. The last combination we'll talk about is the green parent with the gold child. They're both left brain, so they have that in common in terms of how they operate. But really when it comes down to it, the green parent doesn't like the structure and the restrictions that the gold brings to the world. And so I have this green parent expressing this great vision of where we're going to be and what we're doing, and the child sitting there going, yeah, but how are we going to get there? How is it going to happen? What are the things that we're going to need to do? But the green parent just spends a lot of time just talking about the possibilities and never ever, you give a green parent enough time to be a good parent and they'll never be good enough, because they're always working to be the perfect parent. But the reality is that all the gold child needs to know is that, someday you'll be a great parent, but I need to know what you need to do today. I need to know how you can help me today, because I got to get through this right here, right now. And that's the biggest struggle between the green parent and the gold child, is the gold is needing to know how to get through life. And the green parents say, hey, you can just figure it out. That's what I do. If I don't know how to do something, I just figure it out. It doesn't really work in that relationship with the golds. So as you can see, being a green parent isn't a bad thing, but being a green parent and not understanding the temperaments of your children and their uniqueness can become a big hindrance in your ability to establish the relationship required to get through those difficult teenage years. So some tips that we can give you. What are the best things you can do as a green parent to a blue child? No, it's going to be tough for you, but on a regular basis, go and give them a hug. I mean a real hug, a sincere hug, and tell them how much you love them. It's probably the biggest thing you can do for them. You're probably looking at like, I haven't done that for months, right? I don't even know if I did that, whatever it is, right? But be deliberate about that, because that's what can build that relationship with them. And just tell them how much you appreciate who they are as a human. And you're not trying to change them to become you. That's what you do with the blue child. With the orange child, just acknowledge them for who they are and what they do and the excitement that they bring to the world. Relax a little bit. Let them have some fun. Let them have some freedom. And you'll find that as you do that, you might even learn something from them. And they definitely then will be open to learning something from you. Green parent with the gold child, you got to get grounded. You got to get down to some real things. You got to be able to put some pen to paper and lay out plans and lay out direction. That's what the gold child needs from you. Talking about the world of possibilities, that's awesome. We all love having those conversations. But at the end, the gold child needs to know, how are we going to do it? So spend some time. Sit down and say, well, how can we do this? Here's this vision, how can we do it? And include them into that process of laying out the plans. That's how you'll connect with them. And then for the green with the green, don't let them go too far away from you. Don't just let them be so independent of you that they don't recognize you as their parent. That you're engaged, that you're having great intellectual conversations, that you're testing each other and you're growing together as compared to growing independent of each other. That's probably the best thing you can do if you have green children. So to kind of bring this to closure, you're a green parent, you got all these unique children, there's things that you could learn to be a more effective parent. To start your journey, click below. Click on that little more button down below and see there's a free assessment that you can take and begin your journey of really understanding not just your green, but what's second, what's third, where your temperament comes out at. And then also you can have access to information to help you understand a little bit more about each of the temperaments and start looking at your children and having great conversations. And just figuring out through communication where each of your children are so that you can become better at parenting them. So I know as a green parent, information is highly critical to you. We've got a great resource book we spent years putting together that talk about each of these conversations we've just had. There's a whole chapter on parenting children, a whole chapter on parenting youth. And so we want to share this with you. Click below, capture your free copy of the book, and we'll look forward to hearing your stories as you help us on our journey of helping put the human back into humanity.